YouTube, it's your girl Easy Breezy, back on that bullshit. Back on it. All right, so I'm gonna let some people come in the room really quick so we can get into this topic. Okay, so I'm back again with my little bubbles I have in my hair, and I am absolutely loving this wig. All right, y'all. This wig, oh, this is actually from my website. I'm thinking it's from a sponsor, y'all. I'm so used to promoting sponsors, I never have my own hair in. But yes, this is the 26 inch, but I cut it a little bit. I cut like 2 inches off of it. But the 10A deep wave, I think this is a 13 by 4 unit from GALAXI.com. And if you don't already know, and if you don't know where you been, all of the wigs from GALAXIGirlHair.com come fully customized. Let me see if I can show y'all this without taking it out the bag. You know what? I might have to just take it out the bag. Okay. All of the wigs, 10A and 11A, come fully customized. So this is similarly how it's going to look when you get it in the mail. Bleached and plucked to perfection. All right. Now, just to clarify, right, on the website we have 2 different grades of hair. We have the 10A and the 11A. Now, on my website, I used to only have 11A hair, which is like the virgin hair, you know, raw virgin hair that you can keep for years. But I realized that my vendor had like more options, you know, more options, like cheaper options. And I'm like, I wonder if people would actually appreciate, you know, cheaper options, because some people are always looking for the best hair, and a lot of people are just looking for something quick that will work, you know what I'm saying? And they don't want to spend maybe $400 on a wig. A lot of girls, you know, will do that because that's what they're used to. Like, they just always wear virgin hair. But some girls change up their looks a lot. Some girls literally get a new wig with every new install. Okay, so the girls that switch up their hair a lot, or if you don't even wear wigs that much and you just want to try something out and you don't want to spend no more than maybe like $200, no more than $300 on a unit, then you can go with the 10A hair. And the 10A wigs can last you 3 to 5 installs. On the website, I put 1 to 3 installs, but you know, that's just to keep it safe. But most of the time, girls wear their 10A wigs at least 3 to 5, sometimes even more times, especially me. You know what I'm saying? I know how to keep up my wigs, so I can wear a 10A wig like at least 5 times before I throw it out. So yes, you guys, the 10A and the 11A wigs all come pre-customized, bleached and plucked. Okay, and someone asked me the other day, what does human blend mean? So basically, on the website, I make sure that I specify what you're buying. So under the wig, it'll have the grade under it. So the 10A wigs have human blend in yellow, and the 11A wigs have, I think, raw virgin in pink or purple. And human blend just means it's not 100% virgin, you know? It's not synthetic, you know? You can still dye it, you can still curl it, stuff like that. But I just want to specify that it's a human blend because it's just not raw virgin hair. And I'm not finna false advertise out here. Because what I realized is girls actually appreciate the more transparent, you know, the website is, and how transparent just my communication with the products is. I just want to make sure y'all know what y'all are buying. Okay, I do not want to swindle y'all. I don't want to finesse you out no money. You know, I'd rather have you as a customer, you know, for GALAXI Girl for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does me no justice to swindle nobody, okay? So once again, this is the 10A deep wave hair. I can say that the 11A deep wave wigs are a little bit tighter than this. Like, the curl is just a little bit tighter, a little bit more juicy. This kind of looks like the 11A loose wave hair or something like that. But yeah, so one day I'll bring in some 11A wigs as my clients order them. Then I'll just show you guys so y'all can see. So once again, pre-customized wigs on GalaxyGirlHair.com. All you gotta do is get it in the mail and glue it on your forehead, girl. You ain't gotta do nothing to it, okay? Period. So yeah, and you can use the code SUMMERFINE at checkout for a little discount. And if you just go crazy on the website and you spaz out and you buy a bunch of beauty supply store products and you buy some hot tools and your cart is over $250, then you also get free shipping. And the more you buy, the bigger the discount is as well. So you can easily save like $40 on your order and receive free shipping. You know, if you get a wig, maybe an 11A wig, some products, and you know, whatever adds up to $250. So yes, you guys. And also, you already know, our brand new lace concealers are also on the website as well. And these are what makes my lace so scalpy, right? So I have the instruction. Oh, I have a card right here. So when you get the deluxe kit of these, hold on, let me see if I can do I have it? I sure do. Okay, so you can buy these two different ways. You can just buy them by themselves for $25, and it'll come it'll come with your lace tint concealer. Right. So these are $25 by themselves, but then if you want the whole system, you can also get the deluxe kit for $10 more. And that'll come with the lace concealer, that'll come with a melting spray, and that'll come with an application brush. And I definitely give you instructions on how to install your wigs and how to use everything. So when you get the lace concealer, you'll also get this little flyer that shows you step by step how to install your wigs and how to use the concealers. And this just shows what comes with the deluxe kit. All right, you guys. So let's get into this topic today. Don't be afraid to say you got haters. I know it makes you sound pompous. I know it makes you sound vain. I know it makes you sound unaware of yourself. But if you, now mind you, I'm speaking to the people that are in this particular box, right? And I'm gonna tell you who I'm not talking to as well. I'm talking to people who go out the way for certain people that they love, that go out their way to support people that they love, to patronize them, to encourage them, right? To add value any way they can, you know? And for some reason, the person that you are supporting or the person that you are trying to, you know, continue to build a bond with or whatever is treating you unfair. These people are over criticizing you, right? Certain things that, you know, they don't criticize other people for, they're super hard on you for. They are shady towards you for no apparent reason, right? They just throw little innuendos and backhanded compliments, and they're just very micro aggressive when it comes to you. And it just seems like you trigger these people, and it's like, where is this coming from? Right? Now, I'm not talking about the people who are problematic, okay? Because you may not actually have haters. You might have people that actually hate you, okay? There's a difference. There's a difference between having haters and having people that hate you. If you are a bad person, if you don't know how to talk to people, if you are constantly jumping to conclusions and going off on people and constantly causing chaos, and if you're the type of person to steal from people, to lie to people, to finesse people, or to take advantage of people, and you see that people around you don't like you and you're falling out with people, you don't have haters. You need to go to a therapist. Okay? So, for the people who are literally like recovering people pleasers, you constantly put people before yourself just to keep the peace, right? You constantly put people before yourself. You're always supporting people around you, doing what you can. You know what I'm saying? No one is Superman or Superwoman out here, but we show up when we can. And you never really project your insecurities or project your shortcomings or your low vibrational feelings onto other people. When you're not feeling yourself, when you are down about your money or your career or your relationships or whatever, people can't even tell because you never project that onto people. The only way people can tell that you're going through something is if you're literally venting to them in a mutual dialogue, right? So I'm definitely referring to people who are actual victims of having haters. Now, I understand that it feels wrong. It feels wrong to say you have haters because when you tell people that, right, they just look at you and laugh like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? They automatically see you as the problem. And when you go online, sometimes you'll see certain reels or TikToks of girls saying stuff like, every time I come across a girl with no homegirls or, without any best friends, I know she the problem. She the problem. And yes, that could be true, right? That could be true. When we don't know the full context of a situation, we can automatically take someone's side if that's the only perspective that we hear. But sometimes, when you get more than one perspective, you'll realize that that person is actually problematic, right? But, we're automatically kind of like supposed to assume that the loner without any close friends is automatically the problem. And that's not always the case. Sometimes that is the case, but that's not always the case. And maybe that's the case for some people in that person's life, and maybe it's just not the case for other people in that person's life. So in my, life, I've been the problem. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I feel like I was the problem, how I was the problem in certain situations, right? Situations where I felt tried, I felt disrespected, instead of me falling back from that person, and instead of me saying, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with this person, I can't take it no more, I'm finna spaz on their ass, I'm just gonna fall back, right? Instead of me just doing that, instead of me falling back, I was the type to confront people, to tell people why I'm about to cut you off, and like do all this extra stuff, right? So no, I won't necessarily say that I was the cause of any of my friendships, dismantling, but I will say that I left with an unnecessary bang. Okay? But do I actually regret the dismantlement or whatever of the friendship? No, I don't. I still feel the same way. Do I regret the way I left some friendships and the way I probably made people feel, you know, during our last conversation? I have. I've thought about it. I felt bad. I've sent out apologies. You know, some people responded, some people didn't respond back to me. But at the end of the day, I had to trust myself. You know, Zakia, do you really feel like you should be reaching out to this person and apologizing and, you know, trying to mend things? And, you know, sometimes like we feel bad for people, right? When you are like a source of light, encouragement, energy, resources, sometimes it is hard to cut people off because you literally feel bad for them. It's like you want to take them with you and you just want them to just like evolve with you. But when they're not evolving, you have to like literally ask yourself, okay, when is enough enough? You know what I'm saying? When is enough enough? When am I going to reach a point where I can't take being around this person? Every time I'm around this person, I'm taking L's. Every time I'm around this person, I feel rubbed the wrong way. Every time I'm around this person, I have to side eye them. You know, every time I'm around this person, I feel used, or I feel like I just wasted hella time and energy being around them. When is enough enough, right? So I want to talk about, first I want to talk about having unwarranted haters, right? And having damaged friendships with certain girls and not really being able to say they were just haters, right? Because it makes you look full of yourself and it makes you seem like you're unaware of yourself and you lack self-awareness. Then I want to talk about reactions and how to control your reactions and what's taking the high road, how taking the high road really is better for you in the long run than burning bridges like I've done. So number one, let me get my Gatorade. Actually, you know what? Let me get a water. What's up, you guys? Sorry, I just been talking up a storm like I normally do. What is going on, you guys? Go ahead and put your names in the chat. Put some pink hearts. Put some pink hearts in the chat to let me know y'all ready for this conversation, okay? Where my pink hearts at? Where my pink hearts at? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. It's a few of y'all. It's a few of y'all in here. I know y'all hear me. Okay? I don't know if y'all watching this from y'all TV or your tablets, but I need at least one person to put some pink hearts in the chat. Okay? And also like this live, share this live, and if you resonate with it, honey, send it to someone that needs to hear this as well. If you feel like you have any friends or family members that will resonate with this video, go ahead and share this video to them as well. Okay, because I'm speaking for the women that cannot say anything, okay? Sometimes you are too perceived to be too privileged to say anything about having haters. Sometimes it's just like people don't want to hear your struggle. Like, okay, you have the looks, you have, you know, the life, you have the confidence. Like, who cares if you have haters? Boo-hoo, you know what I'm saying? Pull out the world's smallest violin. Like, people don't want to hear the problems that maybe people with pretty privilege have, or, you know, nepotism or whatever, but it can really take a toll and it's a real struggle, like in real life, you know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that I address it. So going back to the topic at hand, okay? Sometimes when you grow up with people, y'all grow up in the same place, y'all grew up around the same people, y'all had similar friends, you know, those type of friends can really feel like they know you, right? They feel like they know you. They feel like they know you like the back of their hand. You know, they know what to say to trigger you. Like they know you inside and out. And as we start growing and as we start evolving and coming into ourselves, you know, we begin to separate a little bit. The ways we separate is we may make friends outside of those people in our work environments, or just in other places. We may change up our looks and we may develop ourselves. You know, friend A and friend B may have totally different priorities. So friend A may be the type of girl to just stay in relationship after relationship after relationship, and she's kind of looking worn down after a while, you know what I'm saying? After a while, she just kind of looks a little worn down, you know? Her cortisol levels are constantly up. She's constantly arguing with a nigga, you know what I'm saying? She's always going through it, and she may have abandoned herself a little bit, you know, in the name of relationships. And friend B may be the type of girl who never really focused on guys like that, or focused on, you know, devoting her life solely to a relationship, and she pours into herself more than friend A. Friend B may be the type to work out. Friend B may be the type to diet, go on fasts, you know, go on retreats, and she really just pours into herself more. So in high school, friend A and friend B were kind of like on the same level, you know what I'm saying? Got the same guys, you know, the same guys like them or whatever. They got the same opportunities. But then when they turned 23 and 24, 25, you can really see the difference between their mindsets and the difference between their lifestyles, right? Now, assuming that, you know, you've never had any conflicts with this person, you're always supportive of this person, and y'all have had a pretty amicable friendship the majority of the time, you know, all of a sudden, friend A begins to feel a little threatened, right? Friend A begins to feel a little bit threatened over friend B because she doesn't understand how friend B is just seemingly effortlessly leveling up in life. Her looks are getting better, her skin is getting better, you know, her body's getting tighter as the years go by. You know, she is just doing it. Like, she's just doing it. She's doing a damn thing. She's pouring into herself, and it shows. And friend A is so occupied with this male validation and, you know, sacrificing her mental health in order to keep these relationships. She doesn't realize how friend B is developing, and it's just making her confused. It's making her question herself, right? What is she doing that I'm not doing? How is she garnering these types of people, or how is she attracting these high vibrational people? How is she attracting these high vibrational, you know, opportunities? How is she just doing this, right? Hey, Cheyenne. Is it Cheyenne? You're beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you. So yeah, friend A doesn't understand how friend B is leveling up. She doesn't see it. She can't clock it, you know, and it's making her confused. It's making her insecure, and it's making her look at herself, right? But instead of seeing it as an opportunity and as a mirror of herself, like, okay, I see this person, I see how great they are. And instead of them taking that and using those, you know, using that to make themselves better, they just choose to feel inferior, and they choose to be envious. All right. Now, okay, Cheyenne said, I just subscribed to your YouTube channel. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Hey, April. Oh, I didn't see April. Hey, Corey's. Hey, girl. Hey. So yeah, so now instead of friend A taking, you know, friend B's glow up as inspiration, and instead of taking notes, she decides that subconsciously, right? Because we don't realize, like people don't realize that they're doing this, but friend A subconsciously decides that she's going to try to bring friend B down to her level instead of rising her frequency and changing her habits so she can get up to friend B's level. Now, when friend A and friend B are hanging out with each other, friend A is highly annoyed with friend B. Friend A is annoyed with everything she says. Everything she says sounds arrogant to her. Everything that friend B says sounds condescending to her. It's just like, ugh. Like, you know, she's just finding every way to, you know, see friend B in a bad light, right? To make it even worse, right? Friend B now goes above and beyond to work on her looks. And let's say she gets her teeth done, right? Let's just say some random. She gets her teeth done. And now friend A is furious. She's like, God damn, like she has the body, she has the skin, she has the look, she has the wardrobe, and now she wants to just shit on everybody and get her teeth done. So now friend A is finding ways to discredit friend B, right? So it's very passive aggressive. It's very, you know, it's microaggressions, right? She doesn't want to say it to friend B's face because, you know, she already know she's gonna seem like a hater and look like a hater. So she just wants to express herself online in a very passive aggressive manner. So instead of saying anything to friend B about her teeth, she goes online and she's like, I just feel like veneers don't look good. You know, I feel like they just look fake. All of them look fake. I don't know why girls get them. And I'm so glad that God blessed me with my natural teeth. Hater. Okay? Hater. That's a hater. Right? Completely unwarranted, right? And the place where that criticism is coming from is not coming from a good place. It's not coming from a place where you actually care about the people who are getting veneers. You don't actually care about their health. You don't actually care about their mental health or their self-esteem. You're not mentioning how all girls are beautiful and you shouldn't want those teeth and blah, blah, blah. It's not coming from that place. It's coming from a place of jealousy, envy, and competition. Jealousy, envy, and competition. When you start to get a weird vibe around people, one that you can't really pinpoint, right? But you feel it. And because you only feel it, but you can't pinpoint it with actual factuals, you can't confront the situation or you're going to look crazy. Right? But what I'm telling you right now is once you feel that feeling, that instinct, the Holy Spirit, your higher self, once you feel that feeling that someone really doesn't like you, that someone is envious of you, you don't feel safe around this person anymore, trust those feelings. Trust those feelings. Because it takes a very strong person to be able to walk away from people you once loved. It takes a very strong person to be able to walk away from 10-year friendships, 15-year friendships, 20-year friendships. It takes strength. It takes strength to do that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people do not have the strength to walk away from toxic situations, whether it's toxic friendships, relationships, or family dynamics. Some people don't have the strength to walk away and choose themselves. They just continue to subject themselves to that negativity and that black cloud energy, right? So even if you were to say it out loud, this person's just hating on me, right? Even if you were to say that, some people will not defend you and choose to misunderstand you for one or two reasons. Number one, they don't know what it's like to have a hater, right? They just don't know what it's like. And number two, even if they do have haters, they didn't have the strength to walk away. So in their mind, it doesn't matter how someone is treating you. It doesn't matter how toxic someone is being towards you. Some people will just stay in those dynamics. Maybe it's a cause of a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-respect, whatever it is, you know, it's not your problem. But that could be a reason people may downplay your experiences or just completely dismiss them, right? And then try to make it seem like you're the problem. So once again, you know, going online on TikTok and Instagram, YouTube or whatever, and coming across videos where girls have talking points that, oh, you know, if a girl don't have no female friends, she a problem. No, sometimes just having male friends is a lot less drama. Like, there's a lot less drama when you have male friends. Yes, the downfall is half of your male homeboys be secretly in love with you. But at least there's no drama, right? So don't jump to conclusions so quick. You know, don't automatically assume that a girl is a bad person or a bad friend or the problem just because she doesn't have a bunch of female friends. Sometimes not having female friends brings you a life of peace. Okay? Now, in my case, I still have a bunch of female friends, right? I have a bunch of beautiful, just aura on 1,000, just talented, lovely women in my life. I really do. But it took me sacrificing all the other friends I had to even find value in these new friends. Like, to actually see them and not only just see them, but make room for them in my heart to actually be my friend, right? Because I'm an Aquarius, right? I'm an Aquarius sun, I'm an Aquarius rising, and I'm a Taurus moon. I am fixed to the max, okay? Even though Aquarius is an air sign, your girl is fixed to the max, okay? And I honestly feel like my moon in Taurus, it kind of makes me like the very territorial, jealous friend, right? Now, it's funny because I ain't never been jealous over a guy in my life. Like, I've never been the type to check phones. I've never been the type to be like, oh, my nigga need to be mean to girls. And I don't like it when guys are mean. I think that's totally unattractive. Like, if a guy is mean to other women, I would literally look at him like, am I next? You know, so I'm not like the territorial, jealous type of girlfriend. I just never been that. But I tend to be the territorial, jealous type of friend, right? Now, I don't normally like express these things, you know what I'm saying? I don't normally express these things, but I felt them and I can acknowledge that I felt them. Like, for example, when I was younger, I had a sore spot about not having a particular person that I can call my best friend, right? That was always a sore spot for me because I've always wanted a best friend. Like when people be like, oh, who you talking to? Oh, that's my best friend. Or, you know, who's coming with you? My best friend. Like I've always wanted to say that, right? And I've always wanted to feel that. And I've never felt that. I've never felt like anyone was really like that anyone put me first in their life. Now, I knew people were around me because for certain reasons, you know what I'm saying? I felt like people were around me because of how they benefited from being around me. Whether it was just my energy, my resources, and just me just constantly always uplifting my friends every time they're around me and things like that. But I never actually felt like any of my friends were like, Zakia is my best friend and I have her back. You know what I'm saying? Never felt that. Never had that. I've had close friends. I've had almost best friends, but my best friend always had a best friend. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, so I always wanted, you know, that type of dynamic. And I never really had that. You know what I'm saying? So when my friends would come around with, like, let's say they would bring another one of their friends kind of like uninvited to my house, I would just get annoyed. I wouldn't treat that friend any type of way. I would, you know, still be cool with her, but I would still be annoyed, you know? Or like if my friend, you know, introduced someone as, oh, this is my best friend, blah, blah, blah. You know, I wouldn't express that, but in my mind, I would just be annoyed. Like, you know, or if we're somewhere out in public and my friend is, you know, leaving me and walking around talking to people, or, you know, buddy with another girl the whole time, I would just get annoyed. Like, I would honestly think in my head, why the hell did I come here? You know, because I already don't know nobody. I'm already low-key, like, you know, anti low-key, you know, sometimes, and I have like social anxiety sometimes. Like, why did I come here just to get left? Like, you know, I feel like I wanted a best friend because I just had anxiety, or I was just a shy person. So having that, you know, person, that one person with me could probably make me feel like more secure, or make me feel like I, you know, had someone with me, you know, to make me feel more comfortable, to be more social or whatever. So yeah, that was like my thing. And you know, that never really got in the way of my friendships or whatever, but it was just always something that I guess I just, you know, that just bugged me. So anyways, why did I bring that up again? So I was never really jealous in relationships. I was always kind of jealous in friendships, but I honestly don't really think that that had any. Actually, no, that did. I feel like that did kind of manifest some type of a little bit of tension between me and my friends later on in life. But anyways, I forgot why I brought that up though. Why did I bring that up? Y'all, why did I bring that up again? But yeah, so I guess let's just circle around back to the main topic before we continue that, because I honestly forgot. I kind of went on a rampage a little bit. But yeah, so sometimes you will have friends that will look at certain things that you do, or they'll think in their head that y'all supposed to be on the same level. They'll look at you like you're supposed to be in some type of box that they put you in. And when you're just not there, when you've evolved past that mold that they put you in mentally, they will start to look at you weird. And it's not because you're acting funny or you're being weird. It's because who you are puts a mirror in front of them, and it shows them what they feel like they're lacking, right? Now, they say if you spot it, you got it. If you're able to see something in someone else, see someone's light, see someone's beauty in any way, you have that capability within yourself. If you didn't have that capability, you wouldn't be able to see it in others, right? But sometimes people don't perceive it like that. People will see other people's light, see other people's beauty, feel inferior, not have the self-belief or the faith in themselves to pull that out of themselves. And instead of just doing the work for themselves and achieving that, right, they'll try to take the shortcut, they'll try to take the easy route, and instead of doing the work, they'll just try to pull people down to their level, right? So you have to understand that people project. Everyone projects, right? You're either positively projecting or you're negatively projecting. And I watched this channel. Her name is damn, I forgot her name, but she has an amazing channel. She just gives, you know, life lessons, and she said something that really stuck out at me. She said Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm literally losing my thoughts today. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm literally losing my thoughts today. What is going on? Hold on, I'm gonna think of this because I really want to say this quote that she said. Y'all, it's gone. It's gone. I'm so sorry, y'all. I gotta think. What did she say to me? I mean, what did she say in her content? She said something like, okay, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was around the topic of feeling entitled, right? Feeling like just because you grew up with someone that y'all should be on the same level. Feeling like just because you know that person's story or you know where they came from, that y'all are just supposed to be on the same level. But, you know, inevitably you're not going to be on the same level if y'all have two different lifestyles and two different habits, right? So sometimes girls can just take it personal. They take it personal, and instead of getting up to your level and, you know, putting in the work, some of them just choose to stay at the bottom and they try to drag you down with them, right? So I want to get onto some of the points that I made or that I wanted to make with the first topic, which was having unwarranted haters, right? Not even understanding where it's coming from, right? So sometimes when people feel comfortable around you and they feel like you're never gonna go anywhere, sometimes people will use you as a punching bag in order to break the ice with other people or to get along with other people, right? So for example, some people, instead of making friends in a way that's healthy, like, you know, just being a positive person, talking about career or whatever the case may be, a lot of people build their friendships by trauma bonding and by having the same person that they don't like or whatever it is that connects them in a negative way, right? And some people don't know how to make friends in a healthy way. They make friends by being messy. They make friends by being a bully. You know what I'm saying? Like they garner attention, but they garner like negative attention, right? That's the only way they know how to do it. So in my life, I was friends with this girl, and we were both, mind you, this is like long ago. This is like elementary school, but this is like one of the first lessons I've learned about being on the receiving end of unwarranted hate, right? So, and you know, I understand that kids are learning themselves. Kids are going through life, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say that she was just a bad person because she did something when we were, you know, 10 years old or 11 years old. It's just something that I remember, you know, so it's just a story. It's not me just judging her whole life, right? Hey, Shar. So basically we were both like the same height. We were both skinny. We were both dark-skinned girls. We both had natural hair, you know. So we kind of like just clicked up naturally because we both felt just, you know, we both felt like we stuck out, you know. Because when you were in elementary school, like when you were a dark-skinned person in elementary school, it really felt like you were like in racist America in 1980, for real. Hey, namaste. You really got bullied for being dark-skinned, like for real. Like that's how kids really like think, you know what I'm saying? Because of the system. So we kind of like clicked up and we were each other's friend, right? Now this particular friend, you know, this is actually really crazy because she actually really was hating. But the teacher kept putting me and this guy next to each other. The whole year, she just sat me and this guy next to each other the entire year. Every time she would change up the seating chart, somehow me and him would still end up next to each other, right? I don't know why she did that. Maybe she thought I could guide him or something because he was bad. So the girl, right, was mad that I was constantly sitting next to that guy. Now, this is a guy that everyone in the whole school liked, okay? You know, when you're in school, like elementary school, middle school, and like literally all the girls, like 1 to 3 guys, he was one of those guys. And I was, honestly, I was elated. I'm just like, okay, like, you know, I never had this close access to this guy before, you know what I'm saying? Now the teacher just has me next to him every single day. So, you know, I'm just happy. I'm just like, hey, you know, I can't control it, you know? So the girl just started to not talk to me. Like, we just stopped being friends. Like, me and this girl used to talk every day. We used to hang out together, you know, during recess or whatever. And I think our friendship just started to just slowly like just dwindle away, right? And I obviously think it's because that she was mad that I was sitting next to the guy. Now, one day, right, we're in class and like randomly I raised my hand to answer a question, and this supposed friend that I had, right, was like, okay, you're a teacher's pet. And when she said that, I was so thrown off. I was so shocked. And I'm just like, and I told you guys, like when I was younger, I was very, very shy, right? So when people did stuff like that to me to try to like embarrass me in front of people, I used to act like I didn't hear them because I didn't know how to defend myself. Like I wasn't a snippy person. Like I didn't know how to do that stuff. So I would just act like I didn't hear it. And the fact that she said that, it just threw me off because it's like a teacher's pet. Like, we don't talk to each other like that, you know? So I just tried to pretend like I didn't hear it. I tried to sweep it under the rug, try to act like I was doing something else or whatever. And I just always just clocked that in my mind. Like, why did she say that, you know? Then another time, we were at lunch. This is a whole nother day. We're at lunch, and y'all know them denim jackets, them half jackets that, you know, came out whatever 2 decades ago. I had a half jacket, and that is before people were wearing half jackets. Like girls still had full denim jackets going down here. And I'm wiping the tables because, you know, that was my week to wipe the tables in the cafeteria. And she's like, Zakia, where's the rest of your jacket? Whatever. And then like all the people at the table just started laughing and just started like picking apart my outfit, right? And even in that moment, I'm just like, why is she constantly trying to embarrass me in front of people? Like, what's up with this girl? You know what I'm saying? So after that happened in the cafeteria, I just stopped talking to her. And I feel like it was jealousy that I was sitting next to the guy in the class because she, like, every time he would like talk to her or say something to her, she would act real like, you know, like real giddy and real like excited that he was talking to her, and she used to like smile, like she used to be cheesing when he used to say something to her. So I know she had a big crush on him, right? But that is just the first experience that I had with having an unwarranted hater. Now, the reason why I like to tell stories that go back, way back is because I'm unpacking things that caused childhood trauma in my life, right? If we don't go back to these first scenarios, these first events, these first set of events, we're not going to understand why we view the world the way we view it, why we're so defensive, or why we're such people pleasers. We're not going to understand where it's coming from, right? So I'm real big on going back to the very first time it ever happened to you, and how did you feel about that, and how did you respond to that? Right? And how do you think you're still responding to that as an adult, right? So with her, you know, making fun of me and trying to throw me under the bus in front of people and like purposefully trying to embarrass me in front of people, it didn't make me a sour person. It didn't make me defensive. It didn't turn me into a bully. It actually turned me into a real bad people pleaser. I didn't want people to not like me. I just didn't want people to not like me, you know? And I didn't realize that she didn't like me because of her own insecurities. It wasn't because of me. So if I was actually aware of that at the time, I probably never would have even became a people pleaser, right? I wouldn't have been going out my way for people's validation and keeping friends around me that obviously didn't like me. You know, I probably didn't have to go through that if I understood that at that time. That's why I like going back, and I like to reevaluate things like that, so I can just be fully aware of why I behave, or why I've behaved the way I did for so many years. And you know, sometimes we really have to acknowledge the fact that sometimes people just literally don't like us for no reason. No reason. Another scenarios. When I was growing up, once again, I was a very shy girl. Every time I got attention, I used to like hide and cry. So I loved hanging out with my cousins growing up, right? Because they were my first friends. And they were easy. It was like an easy, soft landing place, right? Because I already knew them. And when my cousins moved down from New York to Georgia, I was like just so happy, because I'm just like, finally I can just have friends, like friends by default, right? So hey you guys, hey Dick Tracy, hope you had a good day. I'm having a great day. Thank you. And CJ Kid said, made it. Yeah, made it to the stream. So yeah, I would want to hang out with my cousins. Now, this particular cousin, we were the same age. We had a lot of the same talents. We both could draw really good. We both were artists. We both could do hair. We were both fashionistas in our own right. You know, me just being honest, I feel like my cousin has a lot more natural talent when it comes to certain things. Like, she is just like an amazing artist. She has an amazing eye for fashion. She's just a lot of great things in my eyes, right? And I thought that she was, just naturally in her own lane, even though we had a lot of the same talents and the same interests. I always thought she was better than me in a lot of different areas. And I just, consider her in her own lane. Like, I consider her honestly like genius level artist, right? In certain ways. But because I don't know really what to say. Maybe because I was more confident in myself, I guess you can say. I really don't know. I used to trigger her in certain ways, right? So one day we were at school and we all had a project to do, and I did my project, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my projects my teachers used to keep and laminate and keep as examples, because I was such a perfectionist when I was younger. Like, y'all see how I'm a perfectionist with hair? I was a perfectionist like that when I was younger, when I used to draw. So yeah, so I had my picture up on, or my project up on the wall, and my cousin out of nowhere was like, you're so perfect. Like, why are you so perfect? And honestly, that was like a cheap shot to me, because I've heard that a few times before. And it's not a you're so perfect as in like an endearing compliment. It was used it was weaponized against me. It was used to make me feel some type of way about myself and make me lose confidence in myself. Why are you so perfect? Why do everything so perfect? And when she said that, I have so many experiences where I heard something and didn't say anything or didn't react because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what it was. So when I heard it, I was just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's your point? Like, I'm too perfect? Like, what's your point? You know what I'm saying? So after that, once again, we're growing up together, but it seems like we're not hanging out as much. She's having her group of friends. I'm trying to develop my group of friends or whatever. And it seemed like every opportunity she had to not invite me to something or to not include me, she took it. And Other times she would just throw little jabs at me, right? And this happened, like this was going on for the rest of our lives until like adulthood. Now, I do feel like she kind of got better as an adult, you know what I'm saying? Because people change. But those are things that I just will never, ever forget, right? And so basically, like, what I'm trying to say is some of my first detractors and some of my first quote unquote haters were my best friends and my own family members. People that used to take things about me and weaponize it so that I can perceive it in a different light and I won't show it as much, right? Or I won't be so perfect around these people, or I won't be such a teacher's pet, aka I won't be smart around you anymore. You know what I'm saying? And certain things, certain events like that, it made me feel like I had to shrink myself around people. So I'm gonna tell you what I did. When I was in 5th grade, I wanted to get so far away from being perfect and being a teacher's pet and just being that I literally tried to be a bad girl. I tried to go the opposite direction and be problematic. I didn't want to be perceived as perfect anymore. I didn't want to be perceived as smart anymore because I didn't like the negative attention that it was getting me. And I didn't like how it was making people turn on me, right? So instead of me just getting away from those people, right, and, you know, understanding that it's just projection, I tried to change myself. So I started intentionally talking in class so that I can purposefully get checks or whatever it was in my little folder or whatever, and so that I can intentionally get like sent to suspension or whatever, because I didn't want people to mess with me, like, you know what I'm saying? And I used to do things like talk over the teacher. I used to give my teacher hell, y'all, when I was in 5th grade. Give my teacher hell. I used to just get out of line and just do things. I was like literally just acting out. I was literally acting out. And when I look back at that, you know, it's so crazy how humans are. Like, the fact that I even thought that was going to solve my problems is crazy, because it only brought me more problems. Like, I was coming home with discipline checks in my folder and I was getting whooped. I didn't want to be smart, so I was missing, I was answering questions wrong on purpose just so I can get C's and low B's, and I ended up like failing a lot of classes in 5th grade. I could have got held back, y'all. I would come home with my report card and I would get my ass whooped. Okay, so it was like, I don't want to be this perfect person. I don't want to be, you know, what they're, you know, they're trying to weaponize these things against me, and I want friends more than I want to be perfect or smart, you know. So I tried to make myself dumb and bad just to have friends. And what's crazy is, while all that was happening, I guess, you know, it's crazy to say I kind of did make friends that way, because people just used to laugh at me, and, you know, they thought that my antics were just so funny and stuff like that. But those weren't my long-term friends, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I tried to change myself. And, you know, now looking back at that as an adult, I'm like, wow, like, I wonder if I still do that. I wonder if I still try to dim my light to get along with certain people. I wonder if I still try to hide my talents to get along with people. I wonder if I still try to hide my intelligence to get along with people, you know? And situations where I realized I was doing that, I had to ask myself, like, bitch, why are you hanging with this girl? You can't even be yourself. Why are you hanging with this girl? You know? So certain friendships that I had with people, I realized that it was just a result of me being insecure, and that's the only reason why I was around them. So certain friends had to get cut off just because I chose myself, and I chose to love myself and respect myself. And I let certain people disrespect me so many times and throw low blows at me and try to throw jabs at my self-esteem so many times, like I couldn't even believe I was still hanging out with them. You know, I've had girls that would just randomly throw shots at my body, like, oh, you ain't got no ass, or you're so skinny, or whatever, or look, they'll just always make fun of like a few things about me. I was made fun of for being skinny. I was made fun of for being dark skinned. I was made fun of for being quiet. I was made fun of for being too smart. And I was made fun of for being too perfect, whatever the hell that means. Okay? So I can say that in my life, I've had unwarranted haters. Unwarranted haters. Unprovoked haters. Okay? Didn't do a thing to them, just existed and was a target for them. Right? So now let's, talk about the psychology, right? Of projection, of, being angry at people for no reason. Like, why do they do this? Like, what is it? Why? Some people just do not know that they are one habit away of experiencing a much better life. A lot of people are just one change of habit away. A lot of people are so close. All they have to do is let go of one vice or let go of one limited belief, but some people just really feel so far away from their higher self that they just resort to like just crab in the barrel type behaviors, right? A lot of people do not put in the work to improve themselves. They don't put in the work. They don't know, they can't even fathom really what it takes for them to reach, ascension or to level up, right? So they don't even know where to start with how to, reach that level of confidence or how to feel good about themselves. So once again, they will try to take you down with them, right? I tell this story in a few of my other videos, but I like to honestly talk about it because it's another example of unprovoked hatred or hate as an adult, right? So I have a friend who I spent a lot of time with, used to go over her house a lot, and we were just close. Like, we were just really, really close. And I got my body done. I got plastic surgery like back in 2018 was when I got my BBL, right? And what's crazy is if people really were to ask me what is my opinion on BBLs, I would tell people don't do it. Like, I would tell people if you want to get plastic surgery, just get lipo. Like, if you want a smaller stomach, smaller waist or whatever, I would suggest people just get lipo, because a BBL honestly gave me a shape that I wasn't comfortable with, that I actually had to go back and revise and get a lot of that fat taken out, because the hips that they gave me, it just didn't match my body, in my opinion. So, while girls are over here hating on girls with BBLs, just understand that, once again, everyone has insecurities. Everyone wants to fix certain things about themselves. And while you're over here, hating on girls with their body done, or saying that, they don't work hard, or, they cheated, or whatever, or however you perceive them, just understand that a lot of girls have to do more than you think. A lot of girls get surgeries and they're not happy with the surgeries, and they have to pay thousands of dollars to get it revised. They have to pay thousands of dollars to get the shit removed. They go through a lot of crap behind closed doors, and if you knew that, you'll probably have a little bit more empathy or sympathy, right? But yeah, so got my body done or whatever, and mind you, none of my friends were there for me when I got my body done. They all knew I was going, but no one came to check on me. Nobody came to do anything for me. Like, I literally didn't even see my friends for like almost 4 months after I got my surgery, right? But didn't think nothing of it, right? So one of my friends that I used to talk about surgery with all the time, right? We used to share pictures, share inspiration pictures. We used to share doctors. Like, we were supposed to be like little surgery sisters or whatever, right? But there came a time where she was like, no, I think I changed my mind. I don't want to do it. You know, I'm just going to work out or whatever. And I was totally in support of that, right? But I went another route. And instead of, you know, my friend giving me any type of compliments or asking me, even asking me questions, right? Because she doesn't have to give me compliments, but let's just say, you know, just a little inkling of concern, right? How'd your surgery go? Are you okay? Do you like it? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing, right? Nothing. We went from talking about surgery every day to not talking about it at all after I got mine done, right? So one day I get on Instagram and she makes a post and it's like, girls with BBLs are insecure, and that's the highest, you know, level of insecurity a girl can have when she goes under the knife, you know, which could be true for a lot of people, right? But if you know that I follow you, and if you know that, you know, we interact with each other's content often, and you knew that I was going to see that, why would you even post it, right? So she goes, girls with BBLs are insecure, and that's the highest level of insecurity you can have, and it's a dangerous surgery, and basically you're disobeying God by, you know, girls with BBLs disobeyed God, right? Which is so freaking crazy, because we also have a mutual friend that got her breasts done, but you ain't make no post about that, right? And this girl had a perfectly fine body, but you didn't make no post about that, right? But your gripe is with BBLs only, right? Not with other type of surgeries, not with tummy tucks, not with skin removal surgeries, not with nose surgeries, not with breast implants, but your gripe is with BBLs. Okay, cool, whatever. So she posts that, right? And, you know, she is... Okay, you know what? Let's turn it back to me in this moment. I could have let that go, right? I could have seen it as projection. I could have seen it as her opinion, you know? But instead, I chose to react because I was offended. And I commented on the post. And because, you know, this person is someone that I've seen in a pretty high regard as far as like morally, and because she had so many opportunities to say this to my face, you know what I'm saying? But you're just gonna post it online, like, okay, cool. And I put a thumbs down on it, because to me, it wasn't like an uplifting post. You know, it wasn't something encouraging. It didn't feel like it was coming from love. It felt like it was coming from just straight criticism, right? And I put a thumbs down emoji on the post, which I could have not done. I totally acknowledge that. And she commented back to my thumbs down, and she was like, it's okay, we all have insecurities. Let me know what y'all think about that. You know, I felt like it was passive aggressive. I felt like it was a microaggression. I felt a little gaslighted in that moment. And in my mind, I'm just like, you a hater. And even if, you know, I tell that story and people really don't make the connection, or they think that I'm tripping, I know how I felt. And because I don't want to feel like that dealing with someone anymore, then I have the right to distance myself from that person. And there were more times this person threw little shots, you know, through other people and things like that. And there were just so many little things, little microaggressions and conversations behind my back, and things being exposed and things being said to me. And it was just a series of events that was happening where I was just finally like, you know what? I have to stop hanging with this girl because she don't like me. She don't like me. One of the last situations that we had in person that made me think, you know what, this person really don't like me, is we had like a study group, right? It was me, her, one of my homeboys, and my ex at the time. And we were like meeting up every 2 weeks and talking about our goals and just growing together, you know, as a group. And one day I go to the group, or whatever, we meet up, and well, just a little backstory on my friend and the guy, they used to date a long time ago, but they ended up breaking up and just becoming roommates. So now they're just like life partners or whatever to each other. They're just friends to each other. They have each other's back, you know. They pick each other up when they, you know, when they're down or whatever. They just have each other's back now, but they're not in a relationship. So at the study group, you know, we're supposed to talk about our milestones. We're supposed to talk about our goals. Like that's what that's what a mastermind is. You're not supposed to feel like you're being pocket watched in a mastermind group. You know, you're supposed to talk about your business goals and, you know, your accomplishments and what you have set for next week. And it's supposed to be a building type of environment, right? So we're at the group and I'm telling the group about one of my milestones that I made with my business. I'm explaining how I made a certain amount of sales, and this is the most amount of sales I ever made in 30 days. And I'm just like, okay, these are my new goals or whatever. And at first everyone's clapping for me, you know, just a small group of 4. Everyone is clapping, like, you know, congratulations, whatever. Cool, like, you know what I'm saying? Everyone took their turn too. You know, we're clapping for other people. Like, it's a very high vibrational, you know, building type environment. After that meeting, after I said my milestone, right, which was a pretty good milestone, you know what I'm saying? Like I made like, I think it was like 5 figures that month on a certain product or whatever. And she texts the group and she was like, hey, I'm not coming to no more of the study groups because I just feel like I don't want to be around my ex anymore. And I just want to, you know, try to live life without being around him, you know? So we totally understood that. We're like, you know what? We get it. You know, when you break up with someone, you want to try to get reacclimated with life without that person. When I break up with people, we break up and never see each other again. You know what I'm saying? But in her situation, she still needed him and he still needed her. So they weren't connected with kids or anything, but they were still connected because they still needed each other. So she said, I'm not coming to no more of the groups because I kind of want to just like set my wings free. I don't want to be around him like that. We was like, okay, cool. No problem. We totally get it. Like, we respect that. Tell me why the next meeting, the guy, her ex, didn't come to the group either. So we're like, okay. So I'm just thinking in my head, I guess the group is over. Because, you know, they're basically like a team. So I'm just like, maybe he don't want to come because she's not coming, whatever. So we didn't even have a group the next week, a meeting. Then, like, within the next 2-3 weeks or whatever, next month, I found out that they moved in together. So the issue wasn't you don't want to be around him. That was never the issue. Because you just moved in with him. So you're trying to spread your wings and you're trying not to be around him, but you just moved in with him. So now you're going to live together and see each other every day for a whole nother year. But you didn't want to be in his presence bi-weekly at a study group, a mastermind study group. That's the moment I realized, Zakia, do not say your accomplishments out loud to nobody anymore. Unless it's in the name of marketing and promoting my community group. Or if I'm in a real mastermind group with people that are way more successful than me and have way more money than me. But in that moment, I realized, damn, like, if I knew that, you know, my accomplishment that month was going to trigger everyone, I wouldn't have said it. So after that, I'm like, wow, that is just another example of people saying the quiet part out loud. Like, you don't like me. You don't like me. You don't want to be around me. And me saying my milestone at the study group triggered you. It triggered you. Now, there is so much more context, right? There's so much more context that would make me even believe, you know, that this situation happened the way I believe it happened, right? The reason why I'm taking it personal or whatever. I have way more reasons to support that. I have way more stories with this one person to support that, right? Which I'm not going to get into. But the point is, sometimes people will reject you by not pouring into you anymore or not supporting you anymore, right? So in some people's mind, they think that if they stop showing you attention, if they stop supporting you, if they stop posting you, you know, if they stop helping you, that it's going to actually affect whether you're successful or not. Some people actually think that if they stop supporting you, that they're going to stop your entire motion. Some people don't want to be around it. Some people don't want to see it. It may trigger them, right? It may remind them what they're not doing. And when people are just not happy for you, it's going to be hard for people to sit in your face and pretend like they're happy for you. So, you know, if you are the type of girl where you had to learn to suppress yourself, you had to learn to dim your light around certain girls so that you can just get along with certain people. If you're the type of girl that is completely unproblematic, but for some reason you always have people around you that feel like they're trying to snake you or, you know, sabotage you in certain ways or throw stones or, you know, just say things to affect your self-esteem, you have to understand that that is not your fault. Some things are just not your fault. Some things are your fault and other things are just not your fault. So, you know, you don't have to look at yourself like the problem just because you don't have a bunch of girlfriends around you. You don't have to look at yourself like the problem. You don't have to look at yourself like, oh, I'm the reason why people aren't around me, or I'm the reason why people don't like me. You know, I'm the reason why. No, sometimes you're not the reason why. Sometimes people are just unhappy with themselves. Sometimes people just cannot stand to be around you because it just triggers them, right? And instead of working on themselves and doing the work, they'd rather separate themselves from you, which is really the healthier option. But worse, sometimes people will actively try to bring you down. So for my girls that don't have 100 females around them, that don't have 100 friends, you know, over their house every day and always gossiping and always, you know, like girls that don't have that around you, first of all, I have a lot of respect, because to stand alone takes a lot of strength. To stand alone takes a lot of strength, okay? So yeah, it takes a certain type of girl to really just choose solitude and really just choose peace, because sometimes you may trigger people and it's okay to say that. Sometimes you actually just do have haters and it's okay to say that. Sometimes you are not the problem in your failed friendships or your failed relationships, because sometimes you just trigger people. And instead of them taking the long road and the hard road and working on themselves and pouring into themselves, they'd rather project that onto you. And I understand that, right? So if a girl says, oh, I don't have any female friends because, you know, bitches be hating on me or whatever, like, I would actually resonate with that. Right? I would actually resonate with that instead of saying, okay, yeah, girl, yeah, anyways, you know, you're probably the problem. Or, you know, if you don't have any female friends, you know, you're obviously the one that's causing that, or you're the common denominator or whatever. Sometimes you're the common denominator of people seeing themselves and feeling inferior. Right? Sometimes you're just a common denominator of you showing people themselves, right, through a energetic mirror, and when people see what they feel like they're lacking, instead of working on themselves, they try to bring you down, or they try to completely omit their energy and their support from you, thinking that it's going to affect you in any way. Honey, one monkey don't stop no show, okay? One less hater is only going to make me better, okay? I'd rather have 100 supportive people in my life than 1,000 haters and fans mixed in between. Okay? I'd rather have nothing but positive, 20 positive people in my life than 100 frenemies. Right? So if you are, you know, someone that had to dim your light, if you're someone that had to minimize yourself in order to get along with people, let's talk about healing that and being okay with who you are and illuminating yourself no matter what people say and no matter how that makes people feel. All right? So for my girlies with the unprovoked, unwarranted haters, okay? For the rest of this year, you are going to cut people off the first time people disrespect you. You listening? You listening? You are going to cut people off the first time people disrespect you. You are not going to give people 20 chances to disrespect you. All right? For the rest of this year and for the rest of all of eternity, when someone thinks that they can disrespect you, they will figure out they have another thing coming. You don't have to go back and forth with them. You don't have to confront them. You don't have to burn the bridge like I used to do, right? I'm learning to just literally fall back because I'm realizing that, you know, to give that negative energy back to people, it really shows a lack of compassion because you already have the upper hand, right? This person's already hating on you, which means they see you as above them, which means you already have the upper hand. So why not just be, you know, the graceful queen that you are? Just be graceful. Just have compassion for them, right? You don't have to go back and forth with them. Oh, you a hater. Oh, you this, you that. They know they're a hater. They know. Trust me, they know. Okay? They know this. So you don't have to go back and forth with them. You don't have to tell them about themselves. You don't have to burn that bridge. Just fall back and show them that they have to respect you. Now it's not even an option. Now you have to respect me. Right? So once again, number one, we're not giving chance after chance after chance for people to disrespect us. That's old. That's played out. That's worn out. It's taking a toll on our energy. It's taking a toll on our perception of ourselves. It's taking a toll on our self-esteem. And we cannot afford that anymore. We can't afford that anymore. So number two, once you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, we're going to acknowledge that as a real thing. I know a lot of times when, you know, we have to side-eye people and it's just like, did that person really just say that? Or like, what did that mean? You know, when we have those feelings in our spirit, we have to honor that, respect that, acknowledge it, and accept it for really what it is. Just because we can't prove it, just because we don't have the hard facts, doesn't mean it is real as a bologna sandwich. Okay? If we can feel it, it is real. All right? Just because we don't have proof, just because this person didn't do something, you know, outright against us, doesn't mean that these little microaggressions and these little hating comments and this little shade, you know, that stuff adds up. That stuff, even one comment can throw you off. You know what I'm saying? So imagine someone that's doing it as a pattern. The moment you feel it, you don't need permission to cut that off. You don't need permission. We are grown. You don't need permission to cut people off. The moment people make you feel uncomfortable about yourself or uncomfortable in an environment or make you feel uneasy or make you side-eye them, you don't need an excuse to cut that girl off. Cut her off. She knows what she's doing. Cut that man off. He knows what he's doing. And it doesn't even matter, you know, you have to ask yourself, what is your abuse tolerance, right? What are you willing to accept? Some people will not get out of toxic dynamics until something extreme happens, until something totally dramatic happens, right? And that's how I used to be. I needed a direct, solid reason to cut someone off. Like, I feel like I needed like a long list of reasons, right? Now, all you have to say to me is something small. All you have to say is something small. So, for example, right? I had a client and I was braiding his hair for a few years, and this guy liked me, you know. He liked me and he was attractive, you know. I just didn't like him the same way. So yeah, I didn't like him the same way. So I tried to keep him in the friend zone, right? Or just as a friend, because I think the friend zone can be demeaning, but I wanted to keep him as a friend. So while we were friends, maybe he thought that we were like building a bond, but in my mind, we were just friends. Maybe in his mind, he thought we were getting closer or something like that. I don't know. But while we were friends, I ended up getting into a relationship. Of course, you know, we couldn't be friends anymore because he liked me and he wasn't supportive of my relationship. He was kind of like throwing jabs, right? So I'm like, damn, I can't even be his friend no more because, you know, I can't be around a guy that, you know, wants to be with me and wants to sabotage my relationship. So I stopped talking to him for like 2 years, right? I had to stop talking to him. And once I got out of that relationship, me and him became cool again. So he starts coming to me to get his hair done, and, you know, we're just vibing, whatever, rebuilding a friendship, and, you know, it's cool, whatever. Now, the thing is, right, sometimes when men feel like you chose someone else while they were having their turn with you, right, some guys will always hold that against you, and they will just keep that gripe against you, right? I didn't think that he cared that much. I didn't think he cared that much, you know? Like, everyone goes through things, you know? Whatever. I was in a relationship, now I'm out, whatever. But I feel like he always kind of held it against me a little bit. Like, you know, she chose another man over me while we were talking and, you know, whatever. So, after a few months of him getting his hair done by me, you know, very good client, very consistent, you know, money good every time, I feel like he started to get a little bit comfortable. And I want to talk about that too, you know, people getting comfortable, because it can be very confusing, right? So at this point, we've been cool until this one moment where he said something about my surgery. And he was like, you know, now that you got your body done, are you getting all the attention from niggas that you wanted? Or he said something like that. Like, are you getting all the attention from niggas that you asked for? And like I told y'all before, I used to wait until someone had a long list of offenses. Now I don't. I don't wait for that anymore because I don't need to wait for that anymore. I have so many more positive people in my life. I have so many more people that don't try me. I have so many people in my life that respect me and support me to the point where I don't need to keep no one like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't even need to keep no one that's a 2% hater. I don't need it. I don't need the money. I don't need the friends. I don't need the support. I don't need it from you, right? So that comment just made me kind of be like, huh? So I was like, what do you mean? Like, am I getting the male attention that I asked for? Like, first of all, I don't get on Instagram and post my butt or post me whatever, like in that way. I don't post me in bikinis. I don't post myself like that. So what kind of attention would I be trying to garner? You know what I'm saying? Like, I did it for me. I did it because I was insecure about things on my body, not because I wanted attention. And not saying that, you know, all girls do it for the same reason. Some girls do it for attention. You know, some girls do it to make more money. If you're a dancer, you know, you're gonna get your body done to make a certain amount of money. Some girls do it for different reasons. You know, some girls do it because their boyfriend cheated on them and they want their boyfriend to love them more. You know, some girls, they just do it for different reasons. But me, I didn't do it for male attention. Like, if anything, I did it so I can feel better when I'm doing fashion hauls and I can feel better in my clothes. You know what I'm saying? So that comment just really threw me off, and I clocked it in that moment. And I told him, you know, no, I did it for myself. And when you go on my Instagram, you know, I'm not, you know, bopping on my Instagram. And so why would you even say that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not on Instagram looking like I want sexual attention from men. So why would you even say that, right? The reason he said that is because he wanted me to feel some type of way about myself, okay? The reason why he said that is because he still felt some type of way about me choosing another man while we were friends, or while he thought that we were talking, okay? And I didn't like that. I just didn't like that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm summing him up to that one comment, because this guy has been, you know, supportive to me in other ways. He's been a good friend to me in other ways. But that comment, it just didn't sit well with me, right? Because I don't even want people in my life that even think that I'm that type of person. Like, I just don't want you around me. Because if you think that I'm that type of person, which is obviously a negative trait, why do you even want to be around me, right? I'm doing you the favor of getting out your way. I don't want people in my life that perceive me like that, period. So then that same appointment, you know, I'm sitting down, I'm done with his hair, I'm sitting on my pink couch, and he literally like stands over me, right? Stands over me, and he's like, give me a hug. Here's the thing. You are my client, sir. I am not here to help you get a fix when you come get your hair done. You are my client. You feel me? The way he was hovering over me, so that when I stood up, our bodies had to rub against each other, it just made me feel so uncomfortable. Like, why are you making this moment happen so aggressively? You know what I'm saying? And then, like, after that, like, he kissed my hand, and I just, y'all, I was done. I'm sorry. This is the first time I ever told this story out loud, and I know it sounds childish when I say it, but really, like, you have to understand that I have a right to have boundaries when I'm doing business with people. If I don't want you kissing on me, if I don't want you hovering over me and let me get a hug, like, if I don't want that type of energy around me, and I don't have security guards in here. You feel what I'm saying? I don't have security in here. It's just me. So if you wanted to dominate me physically, he could have in that moment. After that day, I ain't did his hair since. I ain't did his hair since. Because I don't need a fucking reason. I just need a feeling. I don't need a reason to stop taking you as a client. I don't need an explanation. Right? And that's one thing that I want to reiterate to you guys, to have that total trust in yourself. You don't need a reason. Who are you explaining yourself to? Only person you need to explain yourself to is God. And God already told you what the right answer was. So who are you explaining yourself to? The only thing you need is a feeling. If you don't make me feel comfortable, I'm not going to be around you. If you make me feel uneasy, I'm not going to be around you. Because what else connection do I have to the higher, to my higher source? What other connection do I have to the Holy Spirit besides my intuition? This is the communication. I don't feel comfortable around you, so I'm not going to be around you. Right? We don't need a reason. What's the reason? I don't have to prove it. We're not in court. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You don't need an explanation. You don't need a 3-page essay to explain to me why you're cutting somebody off. I just need a feeling. All you need is a feeling. Okay? And thank goodness I did that, because now, like, ooh, like I feel like I just lifted so much weight off my shoulder, you know, now that I don't have to deal with him, you know, because every time he came to get his hair done, it just felt like, you know, when are you gonna give me a chance? When are you gonna go on a date? And then he would like touch me in, you know, inappropriate ways and kiss me, like I said, and you know, when he was hovering over me and stuff. And then on top of that, now you throwing shade. Oh, are you getting the attention from the niggas like you wanted? Like, goodbye. Goodbye. So yes, you guys, just have more trust in yourself. Have more trust in your intuition. You are not lying to yourself, sis. If it doesn't feel right, it's not aligned. Trust me. If it don't feel right, it's not aligned. So, you know, we talked about why people, you know, will start throwing shade, why people will start treating you different, why people will draw back their support and things like that, right? But now I want to talk about, you know, some accountability and, you know, your reactions to people, and just to make sure that, you know, you're conscious of your reactions, because there's no way to accumulate bad karma or to experience negative reactions if you are always conscious of how you respond to things, right? So if someone is, you know, if someone wants to be your op or whatever, once you acknowledge that, right, now you have the option to decide, okay, how am I going to deal with this, right? And remember that we can only be responsible for our own actions, right? Hey, Karma. We are responsible for our actions only, right? We're not responsible for other people's actions. We're not responsible for what other people say. We do not reap the karma for what other people do and say. We only reap the karma for what we do and say, right? So even if somebody deserves to get cussed out, doesn't mean that you have to be the person to do it. Just because person deserves to get slapped doesn't mean that you have to be the person to do it. Because we have to watch what we put out into this world, right? So what I realized is every time I felt like someone, Carmen said, I just lit up when you said my name. Thank you for tuning into the live stream. I appreciate you. So, yeah, so we are responsible for our own actions, right? And what people do, what people say has nothing to do with us, right? So number one, we have to acknowledge that, you know what, this isn't really about me. It's just about them, right? It's not anything personal. Like, yes, this person is projecting on me. Yes, they're acting weird or whatever the case may be, but it really has nothing to do with me, right? So, in the past, when I felt like someone tried me or disrespected me or whatever, or, you know, whatever, pushed my buttons or whatever, you know, after a certain amount of times of me just taking it, I would then decide, you know what, I'm gonna confront this person, because, you know, I have to, you know, let them know, like, you can't just talk to me like that. Like, you can't disrespect me like that. So in order for me, you know, practicing, you know, defending myself and practicing having that voice that I didn't have when I was younger, I became super aggressive, right? So when I fell out with people, it was like an explosion, like an earthquake, hurricane explosion, and fire. Like, I did more than burn bridges. I just exploded. I just blew them up into smithereens, literally. And then me and that person would end up hating each other, right? And it never aged well with me, because I would rather cut people off, right, and feel like I still have my dignity, than me falling out with people in these dramatic ways, and then now we have all this hatred toward each other, and it doesn't sit well on my heart. So then I would be the type of person, which I still am this type of person, I would be the type to reach out to them and apologize for how I spoke to them, right? Not acknowledging what the hell they done did to me, right? Just apologizing for my end, because that's what accountability is about. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, well, the reason why I did that is because, it's not about that. It's about, this is what I did. I know that what I did was wrong, no matter what the reason was, and I apologize for what I did, right? I've sent out a few apologies. I went on a few apology tours, right? And people, you know, probably thought that they were going big on me or getting one up on me by not responding to me or leaving me on red or whatever. But it never really affected me, because I always gave more to the friendship than them. So it's just like, who even cares? Like, okay, you don't want to respond to me? Who cares? I'm still going to do my big one in life every single day. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, as sometimes it does kind of take a hit at your self-esteem, or not your self-esteem, but your ego, right? Like, who does this person think they are? Like, not responding to me, like, bitch, like, you're the one that did me wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then I had to just keep on reminding myself, like, Zakia, it don't matter what people do to you. You know, you are responsible for how you respond. You are responsible for how you react. You know, if someone wants to take your reaction and use it as the reason that you're the villain in their story, they have the right to do that. You know, like, I know you hate it, but they have the right to do that. You know, if they never want to take accountability for what they did to you, or the reason why you responded like that, if they never want to take accountability, who cares? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, you were giving to this person more than they were giving to you, and you're better off without them. Okay? So even though, you know, most of, you know, my apologies that I sent out to people when I burned those bridges aggressively, you know, weren't really reciprocated, I still was proud of myself for taking accountability. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, all you can do is take accountability. Like, what more can you do? I can't make someone forgive me. I can't make someone, you know, see my perspective on the situation. I can't make people do anything. All I can do is, you know, try to have integrity as much as I can, and, you know, be responsible for my own actions. So in order to avoid being the bad guy, right? Where, and you know, sometimes you could be the bad guy in people's story for doing absolutely nothing, right? But sometimes when things don't have anything to do with you, but you still react to it as if, like, you know, it did, or, you know, you're taking it personal, you know, your reaction can now make you the second one in the wrong, right? And I know it's so annoying, because it's just like, but this person did this to me and I was just reacting. Yes, that's true. But because we have to be responsible for our actions, sometimes your reaction to someone can make you the second one in the wrong, right? And it can actually make you a bad guy in your own right. Okay? Hey, Martavius. So yeah, don't make yourself the second one in the wrong. Okay? Leave that person wrong all by themselves. Let them stay in wrong land all by themselves. Don't make yourself wrong number two. Don't, because it never ends up right. It never ages well. And honestly, like it makes you just disappointed in yourself that you let someone let you like make you get out of character, you know? So yes, just back off. Back off and get out their way, because clearly I'm in your way, right? Get out their way. You know, if you're triggering someone or whatever and they just can't help but, you know, be a very passive aggressive negative person around you, just chalk it up to, you know what, I clearly triggered this person. This person clearly doesn't like me for whatever reason. It could be just envy, it could be jealousy, it could be them holding some type of gripe against me. I don't know what it is, but I have no control over that. And I have empathy and compassion for them because I know what it's like to be angry, and I'm not going to make it worse. And I'm going to fall back from this person. And that is the best way to handle things, because like I said before, you don't want to make yourself wrong number two. Okay, it's very annoying when you started off as the victim and then you ended up being a perpetrator. Okay, so yes, let them be wrong all by themselves. Okay, this has nothing to do with me. So yeah, for all my new people in the stream, I appreciate you for joining. We are talking about the people in this world that have haters but are ashamed of actually saying that because they may sound arrogant or condescending or like they lack self-awareness, right? Because people have created narratives, you know, online that if you don't have any friends, you must be the problem. Or if you don't, you know, for girls in particular, if you don't have any female friends, that's a red flag, right? But not everyone's walk in life is going to look the same. Not everyone is going to have the same patterns or experiences when it comes to friends. And honestly, some people are meant to walk a road less traveled. Some people are meant to have a smaller circle, right? There are way more people comfortable with where they are in life than people who are actively growing. There are way more people in this life that settled for a relationship or settled for a career or settled for something rather than pushing themselves to reach their highest potential in their industry or with their talents or whatever. There are way more people who are unhappy with their lives than people who are pouring into themselves, doing the work, making the sacrifices, and actually growing. So if you want to blend in with the majority of the people who have settled, who are unhappy, who are looking at people, you know, wanting what they have, all you have to do is dim your light. All you gotta do is give up on yourself. It's easy to do that, right? Give up on yourself, dim your own light. Don't say how you really feel, hide your intelligence. You'll fit in with them just fine, right? But for people taking a road less traveled, a narrow road, you know that you don't really come across that many people on your level, right? Now, you know, you do come across people, right? But even those people tend to be loners in their own life or, you know, in their own situations or whatever, because you just garner a lot of hate when you are working on yourself, and or when you are just beautiful, or when you are rich, when you are successful. You garner a lot. You end up attracting a lot of hate. You end up attracting a lot of jealous people. You end up experiencing a lot of negative projection coming from other people, and you don't know where it's coming from, right? So people who choose to be alone, people who choose to not associate with a crowd of people, You know, before you get to judging and before you say, well, you must be the common denominator, you must be the problem, just understand that some people have to be in solitude. Some people have to stay away from other people because some people just have haters. Some people just have unwarranted, unprovoked haters. Hey Martavius, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for putting your comments in the chat. And if you have any experiences, you know, for yourself, hey CJ, if y'all have any experiences yourself, you know, with having unwarranted, unprovoked haters in your life, like, I do want to hear your stories, you know, because people don't just openly say, you know, that girl was hating or that nigga was hating. You know, some people just try to be humble, you know. And I understand, you know, you can still be humble, but you have to really, like, also acknowledge that sometimes motherfuckers be hating. Remember, Easy, if you need if you need to get that ice Gatorade, okay? You know, I needed my Gatorade a few times in this live. Because, you know, I be getting myself a little worked up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, I remember one time, right? I was in a relationship with a hater. For 2 years. And, well, he wasn't a hater in the beginning. He became a hater. Well, he was always a hater, but it just started to come out later on in the relationship or whatever. So one day, you know, me and my ex used to always, you know, talk to each other about, you know, issues in our lives and friendships and family and stuff like that. We were just each other's, like, we just vent to each other, you know, how people do in relationships. So there were times he told me, you know, of times where he would get into it with his family or get into it with his mom or his brothers or, you know, just certain things like that. And I never judged him. I never, you know, said he was the problem, you know, because I obviously, you know, had my partner's back, you know. I would never judge him for these situations because I know that it is very hurtful when you're experiencing, you know, certain things with your family or certain friends or whatever. Like, who am I to kick someone when they're down? Like, if you're telling me that you fell out with one of your friends or you feel like this guy is hating on you or whatever, of course I'm going to support you, right? So, I was telling him about a situation in my life where I fell out with one of my homegirls. Now, he was in my life at a time where I was aggressively choosing myself and aggressively cutting people off that disrespected me, right? Because I already felt like I've done so much for my friends and I always have a very stable energy about myself. Once again, me having a Taurus moon, I just have a stable energy. Like, every time you come around me, I have the same energy towards you. I'm going to treat you the same way. I'm just always I'm a very consistent friend. You know what I'm saying? I'm the type of person to have like 20-year friendships. Like, I'm just a very stable person. Like, I have a very stable energy in people's lives. And I just didn't feel like my friends really, honestly, a lot of them did not deserve me. You know what I'm saying? Some of my friends I'm still cool with till this day, but a lot of them, most of my old friends that knew me in the past and that got away with disrespecting me and things like that, I decided to aggressively choose myself within a 5-year span, and I was cutting people off, okay? So, you know, he was in my life during this transition. And once again, he used to talk to me about his problems with his family and stuff like that too, and I used to support him. Now, with my situation, I was telling him about yet another friend that I had to cut off because I felt like she was throwing microaggressions and she just kept on trying me. And girl, like, you know, and after I told him the story, you know what's crazy? What's really crazy about the situation is I had a feeling in my chest to not say anything to him. Crazy. Like, I already had a feeling to not say nothing to him, but I ignored that feeling and I told him the story anyway. And when I told him the story, guys, guess what my own boyfriend told me? He was like, damn, you can't get along with no females. And I was so hurt by that statement because he's seen what I went through with these girls. He's the one that told me, these aren't your real friends. They're using you, you know, whatever. Like, he's the one that told me that. He's the one that reassured me that these weren't my real friends. And now all of a sudden, oh, you can't keep no good relationship with no females. First of all, that's not even true, right? First of all, that's not even true. And number two, why did you choose to weaponize that against me just now? Like, what provoked you to weaponize that against me just now, right? That's why I call him a hater. And I was so hurt in that moment. Like, I couldn't even believe that I was an ear for this nigga. Like, every time he had a problem with his friends and his family, he told me. And I was there for him 100% and supported him and didn't make him feel bad or didn't make him feel like he was the problem. Like, I couldn't even believe I was there for him. Like, I was so angry and I was so hurt by that statement, right? And this already hurts. You know, me falling out with my friends or deciding that, you know, I have to choose me over them. That's not like a funny, fuzzy feeling in my stomach. It is a hurtful feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, losing friends is not a fun thing. It's actually a very hurtful feeling. So the fact that he said that, it was almost like he was kicking me when I was already down. And I clocked that shit in that moment. You know, I told him, I never say stuff like that to you. Every time you vent to me, every time you're falling out with people every other day, I never make you feel like you're the problem. You know what I'm saying? And I clocked it in that moment. And after that, even though what he said was absolutely not true, and even though it was intentionally said to throw a jab at me, it still made me insecure, right? So after he made that comment, I was thinking to myself, you know, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I don't show these people enough grace, or I just rule with the iron fist that's a little bit too strict, or maybe I am the problem, you know? And it really had me feeling insecure. Like, it had me feeling like I was a bad person. Like, maybe, you know, I don't deserve friends. Maybe, you know, it's a good thing that, you know, they separated themselves, or, you know, we ended up falling out, or whatever the case may be. Like, I started to question myself until, okay, until I would vent to, like, my sister, or I would vent to, you know, one of my other close friends or my cousin or whatever, and I would say the stories out loud, and they would literally look at me like, are you dumb? You're still hanging out with this girl? Like, are you dumb? You know what I'm saying? So once I would get that reality check again, I would be like, Zakia, trust yourself. You know what I'm saying? Trust yourself. People will say things to you to try to bring you down, to try to make you think that you're a bad person. You know, people will take shots at you, cheap shots at you. Do not let it get to you, right? Do not let it get to you. And, you know, after people would, you know, snap me back into reality, I would say to myself, okay, yeah, no, I wasn't tripping. And I'm honestly so glad I cut that girl off, and I feel so much lighter, and no one's gonna make me feel guilty for doing that. Okay? Okay, so I see some comments up in here. Okay, so Karma said, it's true. I'm the most non-social person you'll probably ever meet, and many people get mad at that, for real. Yeah. When you're not contacting people every day, especially if that's something that you used to do in the past, so people are used to getting access to you, and they're used to, you know, like, venting to you or siphoning energy or whatever, having any type of access to you, period. Once you decide to pour into yourself and draw back from anything that's not really pouring into you at the moment, people take it personal. People will think you're being weird. People will think you're being funny. You know, like, that does happen sometimes. Me in particular, I don't ever really see people like that. Like, I don't talk to every day. I don't ever see it as being anything weird. yeah, the only time I seen someone drawing back as like being weird is that story I told earlier when I said my friend stopped wanting to come into the stopped wanting to come to the study groups after I basically said one of my milestones, or told them basically how much money I made, and she quit the group after that and made some excuse why, and then the excuse ended up being like a total lie afterwards. So that's the only time someone ever separated themselves or fell back, and I took it and I thought that it was weird behavior. But yeah, like people are in a healing era in their life. People are in survival mode. People are trying to preserve the last bit of happiness and energy that they got. Okay, so don't judge people who are falling back and who are disassociating themselves, because sometimes it's not really about you. So I definitely understand that. CJ Kid said, what's the longest friendship you have currently? I would say, damn, it's crazy. The longest friendship I had was actually almost like 22 years. And it was with a guy. Wait, let me see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 45, 26, 27, 29, 30, 31, 32, 32. 26 years. 26 years is my longest friendship. And it's crazy because recently I even had to separate myself from that guy because he just talked to me crazy out of nowhere, and I was like, I'm on this no bull BS tolerance. Like, I have a one offense, well, actually not one, but like this is the second time he kind of threw a jab at me, and I just stopped texting him back because I'm just like, I'm not tolerating anything. But before, and that just happened like last week, and I'm not saying that I cut him off, but I had to fall back because you're not going to just say anything to me. Like, you're just not. Like, that's not how it goes in my life. But yeah, before that little weird interaction that happened last week, we were friends for 26 years. And my other friend that I haven't talked to her in a couple weeks, but we were friends for probably like 20 years, 21 years. Then I have another friends for probably like 15 years. I have a few other friends that I've known for well over 10 years. Like, my friendships are long. Like, I have long friendships, and I'm the type of person, I don't need to talk to someone every day. Like, we can literally talk like 3 times a month and literally have the same energy, because I'm a busy person too. So I used to be the type of person where I used to have friends over my house every single day. We used to have sleepovers. I used to be over their house every day. We used to go out on the weekends with each other all the time. And I do kind of miss having dynamics like that. But now that we're grown and people are married, people have careers, people have kids, I can't have those type of dynamics anymore. So now I have to get used to a new dynamic, which is we're both grown. You got shit to do. I got shit to do, and we're just not going to see each other that much. But yeah, so I think most of my friendships are over 10 years, and I have a few friendships that are, like baby friendships, probably going on 2 years, 3 years, but they seem strong to me. I am the advocate of new friends, okay? New friends, like, give me the new friends. Like, I love new energy. I love connecting with new people. I love learning from different women. Like, I love it. I love meeting people. I love making new friends. Karma said, I just broke up with my boyfriend for the same ish. Oh, for like downing you, right? Downing you, throwing jabs at you, the microaggressions. Like, it's not cool. Like, it's just not cool. Like, me and my ex did not break up over infidelity. We didn't break up because he stole from me or he blacked my eye. It was nothing like that. I broke up with him because he had extreme anger issues, extreme insecurity issues, extreme control issues, and he was a hater. He just did not want me to feel like I was worthy. Like, sometimes he did, but whenever he was mad at me, he would just throw the craziest jabs at me. And in that situation where I told you, he was like, damn, you can't get along with no females, that was totally unprovoked. Totally unprovoked. We weren't in no arguments or nothing. I was literally venting to him about a friendship that I had with a girl. And he just kicked me while I was down. And I just couldn't even believe it, because all I am was there for him. All I was there for him. You know, it's messed up. It's really messed up. People will see you as like a perfect person, or, you know, they'll see you as this on this level that is unachievable to them, and they will literally make it their life purpose to figure out what's wrong with you. They will make it their life purpose to figure out, oh, you know, this person isn't really happy because of this, or this person isn't really perfect because of this. You know, they'll just try to find your imperfections and point them out. And it's sad. It's sad. Okay, so Q City World, what's up? I'm watching your how to make a slave video. Just subscribe. I posted that on this channel? Oh my God, I thought that was on my spiritual channel that I deleted a long time ago. But yeah, I did start my spiritual videos on this channel. Oh my gosh! Hold on, I gotta go back to that video and watch it myself. I forgot all about that video. That must have been like 2019 or something. Love it, love it. I appreciate that. Okay, so Q City World said, looking at your old video, remember you said men versus women. I gotta see. I want to go back. After the stream, put the titles of the video in the comments so I can go back and look at my own videos, because I want to see. Okay, so Carmen said he wanted to put the people that wanted a problem with me for being non-social. I was always wrong for pointing it out. He put them first. Oh, my bad. Oh, he wanted to put people first. Or what? He cheated nonstop too. I just don't get it, man. I really don't get it. Some men are just, only thing they know how to do is just bring chaos. For real. That's it. They just take. They take your energy. They try to take your soul. And they don't give nothing back but chaos. And yeah, you know, I had to learn the hard way that, you know, we're still in a very misogynistic society. And when a woman claims that she was abused by someone or mistreated by someone, even though men statistically are reported to be the aggressors in domestic violence situations, are literally reported to commit more homicides against their partner, even though these are facts that everyone knows, right? Because men are just naturally more stronger than women, and they're more aggressive. And, you know, they say that a pregnant woman, like according to statistics, the #1 cause of death in pregnant women is homicide from her partner. Like, it's not even childbirth. It's homicide from her partner. You know what I'm saying? So even though we know these things, right? People will still question a woman that says that she was abused. It's still like, oh, well, is she telling the truth? Is she trying to lie on that man or whatever? And it's like, what statistics can you pull up that would give you reasonable doubt that this woman is lying. You know what I'm saying? So even though, like, you know, people obviously know that men are the majority aggressors in relationships, people will still question women, right? So in my last relationship, when we broke up, and that's the first time I ever experienced um, like level 10 emotional abuse, level 10 mental abuse, um, attempted financial abuse, but I had my own money, and like level 4 physical abuse, right? But all of that, like, plus gaslighting 24/7, all of that plus just this guy having just anger issues 24/7, like never taking accountability, like literally like driving me insane, right? After that relationship, like a lot of his family members were calling me a liar. Oh, he never did nothing to you. Even his mistress that he ended up being in a relationship right after me was saying that I was lying about being abused and stuff like that. Mind you, didn't know this man for more than 3 months. You know, and just saying all this negative stuff about me. And that's the first time I ever experienced being victim shamed. I never thought that that would happen to me because I thought it was freaking obvious that men can be abusive. And men don't even really realize what abuse is. They think that the only type of abuse is close fist punching your girl. They don't realize that there is a spectrum of abuse and multiple different types of abuse and manipulation tactics and things that men do that they don't even consider abuse. And when people were calling me a liar, and it wasn't like everyone, it was like, you know, just like his family and like his girl and, you know, his people or whatever. But still, even that took a huge toll on me. And it made me afraid to speak up for myself. It made me afraid to tell my story. It just made me afraid because I didn't want people to call me a liar because it was such a soft spot for me. And it honestly enraged me because I was so mad that I didn't have more proof. I was so mad that I didn't set up cameras in my apartment and caught everything. I was so mad that I deleted the pictures that, you know, would prove that he was abusive to me. Because I had pictures, I had proof. But every time we would get back together, I would try to start from a clean slate, right? And protect him. And I would delete all the footage and all the text messages and all the proof. And I would try to start clean, you know? And he would just fucking abuse me in other ways, like right after that. So it would have me enraged that I didn't have proof. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and that made me very insecure about myself, and it made me scared to speak out. So now I know that, you know, when women get blamed for damn near everything, like it doesn't matter what the situation is, a woman is always to blame, you know, to a lot of men. So the rule that I made for myself now is I'm not going to give a man more than 3 chances to disrespect me. And it might even be 2. Hell, it might even be 1, right? But since I got no standing ovation for still dealing with this abuser after he was, you know, causing mayhem and shit in my life, I didn't get no applause for that. I didn't get no trophy for that. I didn't get no trophy for letting this man drive my car for like 10 months after his truck got stolen. I didn't get no trophy for that. I didn't get no trophy for paying this nigga's rent a few times before he even came to move in with me. I didn't get no trophy for cleaning up after him. I didn't get no trophy or no recognition for cooking his meals. I didn't get no trophy or recognition for making sure he was sexually satisfied, even though I didn't want to even engage in that sometimes because I was too tired or too overwhelmed or overstimulated. I didn't get no trophy for none of that shit. I didn't get no applause for none of that. I didn't get appreciation for none of that. So now that I know how the world works, right? And now that I know that women are taking advantage of our energy, our service to men in the world. People are so entitled to that. They feel like we owe them that. So when we're going above and beyond for someone and bending over backwards for someone, people do not show appreciation for that. They just think that's what we're supposed to do, right? And now that I realize that's how the world works, I have a no BS tolerance law for myself. Now that I know that even if we break up and you're the crazy toxic one, that I'm still gonna be the bad guy in some people's stories, I'm not letting guys get away with shit. I'm not letting guys get away with nothing in my life. Because what's the point? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? If I get abused, I'm still gonna get blamed. So what's the point? Right? Oh, well, you chose him. Well, you chose to be abused, or you chose to stay. It's always the woman's fault. So now I'm not giving no chances. I'm not giving no chances. If I don't treat you like that, or if I haven't done that same thing to you, I'm cutting you off. I'm cutting you off. Okay, so Karma said, that's another thing. He put his hands on me multiple times, and I was raised to not put my hands on my partner. Facts. I understand that I'm not entirely innocent, but that ish was for the birds. Facts. Facts. Same with me. You know, I wasn't the perfect partner. I mean, I was almost perfect. But, you know, I never put my hands on him. You know, I never reciprocated that energy towards him. I was never up in his face, yelling at him, you know, punching him, slapping him, mushing him. Like, I didn't do that to my partner, but he did that to me, right? And I was still blamed for being in an abusive relationship. I was still blamed. In things that really hurt me, though, was not even just people that was on his side of the family, but certain people in my family, like, was acting like they didn't believe me. So, you know, once that happened, I'm like, oh, say less. Say less. You know, now that I know that, you know, the world will have a man's back, without even knowing my side of the story, they'll just assume that I'm the one in the wrong. And, you know, like I said, I did not get no trophy, no awards, no medals, no recognition for all the times I let his shit slide, everything that I've done for him. Now that I know that I will always be blamed, I'm not giving niggas no room to disrespect me. I'm not giving them no room to disrespect me. You either respect me as a person or you get out my life. Simple as that. I don't have people in my life that disrespect me. I used to, but now I don't, because it's a conscious decision. And yes, that may mean that I have a lot less people around me, but I am 10 times more happier. I am 10 times more happy as a single, free woman, able to do what I want when I want, wear what I want, post what I want. I can be as bright and loud as I want, right? And I don't have anyone around me trying to dim my light, trying to make me feel less of myself, trying to make me feel like I'm doing too much. I don't have no one in my life that's holding me back. And I'm just forever grateful for that. I'm forever grateful that I end up choosing myself. You know, it was hard. You know, after I broke up with my last boyfriend and kicked him out my apartment, I was crushed. I was heartbroken. I already had his new girlfriend taunting me and antagonizing me online for months after that. You know, I was so confused by that whole situation, because it's like, you have the guy, you got the nigga. Like, you're the one telling me, oh, I didn't deserve him and I'm lying about being abused or whatever, but you're still talking about me online. Like, make it make sense. You won, sis. You got the man, right? Why you still taunting little old me? You know what I'm saying? So I went through so much just emotional, just turmoil for that first year after I broke up with my ex. Like, having to separate myself from him came with so much pain. And it came with just so much other bull crap. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, you know, now that I'm 2 years away from that relationship, you know, I'm so glad that I chose myself. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I went through the sleepless nights, my chest hurting, you know, my chest feeling tight. I can't even freaking breathe. I can't even freaking eat. You know what I'm saying? Just the relentless crying, you know, I'm so glad that I muscled through that situation, because now the way I feel about my life and the level of respect that I have for myself now, and my no tolerance for BS, like I wouldn't trade this mindset for the world. I wouldn't trade this perspective for the world. Hey Lanila, you look so gorgeous. Thank you. Appreciate you. So, yes, you guys, you know, this topic I can really talk about all day, because I really do feel like a victim of haters, having haters. I can understand if you're the type of person, you're like a bully kind of type, you're very extroverted, you know, you kind of you're very blunt, you say what you feel, and you know, certain things that you do may be like divisive, you know, when it comes to people and stuff like that. So I can understand like why someone like that may have a lot of haters or something like that, right? But then you have people who literally just mind their business. Literally mind their business. You have people that are on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? They lack confidence, so they actually are people pleasers, right? You have people that put other people above themselves just so they can be accepted into a group of people. You know, you have people that are literally like dimming themselves to exalt other people and putting other people's needs before them, and those people are still getting hated on. Like, I want to speak to people that resonate with that. Unprovoked haters, unwarranted haters. Like, literally, I don't have any well, I do have close friends, but you know, I had to basically attract a whole new group of friends in my life. And I had to go through that while hearing on the internet every other day, oh, girls that fall out with girls are the problem. You the red flag. Like I was questioning myself for so long. Not too long. Cause you know, not too long. But the fact that I even question myself at all, you know, just makes me like, it makes me want to hold my hand. Like, girl, don't listen to them folks. Like, you made the right decision. Trust me. You made the right decision. Trust me. But, all right, you guys. I'm about to wrap up this stream. I appreciate you guys for showing up to this live and commenting and leaving your support and your lovely compliments. I appreciate you guys. Remember, we have our pre-customized lace wigs on galaxygirlhair.com. They already come bleached and plucked, so they're very easy to install on yourself at home. And we have our new lace tint concealers to make your lace match perfectly like this. And when you get the deluxe package, then you also get the application brush and you get the melting spray. So thank you, CJ Kid. I appreciate you for always coming and supporting and giving your opinions and your stories. I just love it. I love the dialogue. I love, you know, how everyone in my lives just gives me energy and gives me ideas and new talking points and things like that. So I definitely appreciate y'all so much. And I will see y'all in the next live. Deuces.